Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind, Season 4. Let's see what happens.
Not practical to take their driver's license away. There's too many things to get put into the criminal code that should be civil infractions. Anyways, that's my rant.
Interesting, all right. Yeah, I don't really have an opinion about that, honestly.
I'm a bit of a talker.
Yeah.
Bliss's family is over, and Bliss told Zach that Bliss's dad is known for really scrutinizing her potential boyfriends, partners, and that he might be a little harsh. And so the dad is definitely giving off that demeanor and the facial expressions. I don't know if it's a little bit of a put on or something, but that's what he's doing. And Zach launches into kind of a little rant, as he puts it, about his passion within law. And I don't know, made sense to me what he was talking about. And he then says, sorry, it's a bit of a rant. And then the dad is, I don't know, awkward is a word I'd put to it.
So where do you guys plan on staying once you're married?
Yeah, so we have to, that's a good question. We have to figure it out.
When did you say your lease was August?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we'd have at least till August to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I think probably.
One thing about Zach that is notable is when he talks, he does the Stanley Kubrick stare, which is associated with villains and devils and stuff. And I don't know why he does that. I wonder if it's an insecurity thing or something. There's a lot of things that people will do physically when they're insecure. Some people will literally do this when they talk. I'm sort of exaggerating it. It's some sort of way of trying to protect himself, or I don't know. Maybe it's an affectation that he puts on to be more intense. I wonder if he even knows he's doing it. I don't know. What do you think?
Once you're married?
Yeah, so we have to, that's a good question. We have to figure it out.
When did you say your lease was August?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we'd have at least till August to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I think probably in December, we'd probably start looking at trying to find a home.
Pretty odd.
What I would tell you is that.
Not gonna lie.
Okay, I think I'm losing the thread. I think they were talking about when they were going to move in, and it was maybe after they're married or something. I don't know. I'm losing the thread, but the dad is in a very awkward, smug way, saying that he disagrees with the whole thing. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm remembering when they met up with Bliss's mom and that side of the family, that the mom, I believe, or another woman in Bliss's family said a phrase, something like, well, you know, we understand with men things can be different. Or it wasn't overt like that. It seemed to imply, and I could be reading into it, and of course I have no idea, that the divorce between Bliss's parents was difficult and continues to be difficult or something. I don't know. And I wondered about, at the time, because I didn't know they were going to meet up with Bliss's father separately, because that's the father and stepmom. And I, at the time, wondered, is that some sort of code for, you know how your dad is? Or I don't know. But upon seeing this, I just have no idea. But this, like I said, this could be a put on. He could be like, oh, I'm the dad. This is what you're supposed to do. Or I'm on reality TV and the producers kind of push me in this direction. Or I don't approve of this sudden engagement. I don't know. But his demeanor is interesting.
Her dream to one day be on the moon when she's 60 years old. I'll tell you, the thing that I love most about Bliss is not her intelligence or her beauty, it's her character. It makes it so easy to sacrifice for you and to do things for you, because I know that you would do the exact same thing. I just feel like you genuinely love me.
I mean, of the speeches on this show of people saying why they love someone, I would say this is up there in terms of convincing, right? A lot of people, aren't poets, and so they don't know how to put it into words. I don't know how to put my love for my wife into words. I could try, but I'm sure it wouldn't really encapsulate even a couple percentiles of the experience. So it's hard to put into words, but he is good with words. I mean, that is his job. He wants to be in a courtroom using words to convince people of things. So if there's a chance, the dad will be like, oh, okay, well, that sounds pretty. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I am. We connect very deeply. I've never experienced anything quite like that before. I'm not like saying that there's not challenges or that there won't be challenges because I'm not
there's gonna
dumb.
be challenges,
I know that, Dad.
You've known each other how long now?
I'd say around.
Yeah, part of this is you and me, we're used to the premise of the show, but for people who aren't used to these kinds of shows, Married at First Sight, this kind of thing, even 90 Day Fiancé has elements of this where people barely know each other. If you would have asked me prior to watching reality TV starting about 3 years ago, because I barely watched reality TV before the first season of Love is Blind, I would have also had an attitude kind of like the dad, where you're thinking, what? And when you mix it with reality TV, which people often assume is always fake, or people just do it for the fame, or it's, just people that are narcissistic or something, which of course is not true, but that's the way people see it from the outside. It's hard to stand behind, especially if you care about your daughter. It'd be hard to believe in this, and you would have a lot of reasons to believe, like, this is not a good idea. What are you doing? So I get it, and it's hard for me to remember that philosophy or position that I had, because I've been so indoctrinated into this idea that you can, and they can. People have. Cam and Lauren, Amber and Barnett, a few others have seemingly found each other through this ridiculous format of reality TV. So it can happen. And I wonder if the dad just doesn't have any idea that it's possible. Now, who knows? Maybe Zach and Bliss are a terrible match. I think the two of them, in terms of what they're presenting on camera, it's hard to be inspired by their relationship because there just doesn't seem to be a lot there. But there might be a lot there, we just don't see it, right? And maybe by the fact that we don't see a lot means that there's not a lot of fighting and they're just really comfortable with each other and they'll spend the rest of their lives together. But when we see something like the Bretts and the Tiffanys, there just seems to be so much more substance, but of course we've had more time with them. So who knows? But my point is that their relationship might be good, it might be bad. But anyway, I get where the dad's coming from, but his delivery is notable. There's something it feels, I don't know what word I put to it. There's a way that the dad could talk. He'd be like, hey, this is the way that I would be, I hope, if I were in his shoes and I came into this scenario being pretty pessimistic. I would try to value my daughter's autonomy and decision. I would try to give Zach the benefit of the doubt, and I would try to believe. If I felt that there were some cautions that I needed to put out there, I'd put it out there, but I'd be tentative about it, and I would try to be more adult about it. He almost seems like, if you didn't know his age, you couldn't see how old he was. His demeanor comes across like a teenager-ish. It's sort of snarky, and there's like little quips instead of just standing tall and saying, hey, this is what I think, and at the same time being a father and being loving and caring towards the younger people. That's what I would hope I would do, is just be like, you two seem like you're telling me you're in love, and I gotta believe that, I guess. And Zach, you seem like a great guy, and Bliss, you're smart and you know how to do things. I have to tell you, I'm terrified because it just seems like it's too little time. I might throw it out there that you don't get married in a week and you wait a while and just test it out. The way that there's no rush to get married. You're young. It's okay. Just, give it a test drive for a couple years and then get married. But who am I to say, I love you and I want you to live your life. I won't stand in your way, and I'll support you whatever you do. But I'm telling you, I'm a little worried about this. I can't help. I keep having this urge to like put my foot down, but of course that's ridiculous. You're a grown woman. You know what to do. So that's, in my book anyway, more of a father adult approach to an adult child, right? So something about his demeanor is just kind of, I don't know, maybe he'll pull out of this.
How long now?
I'd say around 20 days at this point.
God. Oh, I'd say good luck. I'm not trying to be mean, but good luck.
No, I mean, I get that.
You know what I mean? It's something that a teenager would say. Well, good luck. If you didn't know his age, you would think it was a much, much younger person, someone that wasn't her father, like just some random coworker of hers, or the snarky younger brother or something. You wouldn't think it was a father. It's so judgmental. It's like this message of, well, good luck, you fucking idiots, is the message, right? I mean, that would hurt. And I'm guessing Zach is like, okay, I got to work with this. But imagine if you're Bliss and you have committed, you have said yes to an engagement, and your dad's just like, well, good luck with that one. I mean, that would really be a dagger. I mean, even if it's coming from a place of love or anxiety or even rationality, which I think we could agree with, but the delivery and the dismissiveness, the insult, and it doesn't come across as loving, right? It comes across as like, I can't wait to see this fail so I can be right.
I'm not like saying that there's not challenges or that there won't be challenges because I'm not done. I know that, Dad.
And then rewinding this and seeing Bliss interact with her dad, she says, I'm not dumb. I think that could be an indication that there's a history there of this kind of interaction, this kind of dynamic, and she is trying to really be pointed in what she's saying, meaning, because passively that's saying, you're implying that I'm dumb, but I'm not dumb. I understand there will be challenges. I'm not a child. So I don't know. It just feels like this is not the first time Bliss has been through this. This episode is sponsored by Betterhelp. We often talk about a work-life balance, right? But how often do we talk about a balance between time for others and time for ourselves? It's so easy to get caught up in thinking about what everyone else wants from us and never taking the time for ourselves. And of course, therapy can help you with that balance. I mean, just going to therapy is taking time for yourself, right? I've had many clients who will do this. They will come into my office, sit down on my couch, and let out a big sigh of relief because I think for the first time in a week, they're actually taking time to think about what they need. If you're thinking of starting therapy, it's worth giving a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient and suited to your schedule. And also, you can switch therapists at any time at no additional charge. So, find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
You've known each other how long now?
I'd say around 20 days at this point.
God. Oh, I'd say good luck. I'm not trying to be mean, but good luck.
No, I mean, I get that this is like not.
And people who do that, which are usually teenagers, I would hope, because they're still developing, when they say things like that, like, I don't want to be mean, but good luck, it's like, well, if you don't want to be mean, then how about you don't effing say what you just said? I mean, people's like, no offense, but you're an asshole. It's like, what? That doesn't work. I don't want to be mean, but boy, you two are the two most biggest idiots I've ever met. Like, what are you talking about?
Not a normal situation.
I already tried with your sister, and you know how that ended up.
Tried with my sister. What do you
Her
mean?
older sister got married to a guy that worked for me. Well, I fired him. Then they left Arizona and got married.
Yeah, wow. Dad certainly isn't making a case for his evaluative skills, one, and two, his relationships with his family. Who knows? Maybe the dad was right. Maybe the dad will even say, look, I was right. My other daughter married someone that I told her she shouldn't, and look what happened. Maybe. So that could inform his demeanor here. Maybe with his previous daughter, he was more flexible, and it really hurt him because of this, and his way of coping with it is this way. Ironically, this kind of behavior from the dad could actually push Bliss to make choices that are counterproductive. This is a parenting tip for y'all, is when you have a demeanor towards a child that isn't attuned well enough to where they're at in life, what they're going through. Like, for example, say your kid comes at you and says, I want to be an influencer. Okay, they're 16 years old. And you think, no, you need to go to college, you need a better career than that, whatever. I imagine a lot of parents are going through things like this. And so now I imagine a lot of parents are like, yeah, be an influencer. That's where you make the money. I don't know. But let's say that you're a parent and you're like, no, I don't want you as a 13-year-old to start down that path. I want you to be dedicated to school. I want you to go to college. You don't know what you want to do later on, that kind of thing. And so instead of being attuned to the child and being with the child and recognizing the child as 13 and saying something like, "Oh, okay, influencer, tell me more. What kind of business do you want to have? What kind of influencing do you want to do? What kind of brand do you want to have?" You can explore that. Those conversations and skills can be applied in other industries as well, right? And so you entertain it, even though in the back of your mind you're like, no, 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 no. But they're 13, so who cares? You just explore it for a while. And then maybe down the line, a while, you might say something like, "Well, I'll tell you, you seem really dedicated to this, which I really commend you for. And I kind of worry that you're young and you don't necessarily know the career that you'll really land on." Now, the bad version of that, the not attuned version, the unwise version, is to come down hard and say, "You're not going to be an influencer. That's a ridiculous career. You're stupid for thinking that, and stay in school because, that's just a dumb career." When you put a child through that, they have to deal with it somehow. They're forced into a position where they have to figure out how to deal with what just happened. And one option, and there are many options of coping, but one coping is to give in and to surrender and say, "Okay, well, what lesson did they learn?" The lesson they learned was, "I don't know anything. I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm supposed to do." And so that starts a pattern where the child ends up just deferring to other people and never knows what they need and never thinks about what they need or want. And they're always looking for other people to tell them what to do. That is not a life of happiness, and that can blossom into all sorts of problems, not only career, but relationships. Another coping style is to internally say, "Fuck you, Dad. You can't do this to me. You've done it to me before, and this is one thing you can't control. So I won't tell you, but I'm going to continue to believe I'm going to be an influencer." And then they lock in on an influencer, because to them, to not be an influencer, even 10 years later, would be them admitting that you were right and that you have power over them. And they'll be damned if they let you have power over them. So they're going to, without even thinking about what they need, without even thinking of the rationality of the career, they will be an influencer. And so for the dad, I wonder how he's approaching his children when they do things that he believes are unwise.
Sure, do you know how that ended up?
Tried with my sister. What do you
mean?
mean?
Older sister got married to a guy that worked for me. Well, I fired him. Then they left Arizona and got married. Oh, boy. You do have to let intelligence actually play a factor in decision making. So let's hope you guys are making the right choice. So.
Okay, the dad seems to be kind of turning, let's hope you guys make the right choice. There's the intelligence thing again. So there's a put down in there, a veiled put down of, "I don't think you're smart. I am." There's a lot of messaging in there. "I'm smart. You're dumb. I know what you're supposed to do. You don't. I'm never going to believe in what you're doing here." So yeah, but he seems to be maybe turning a corner. And the other thing is we saw Bliss sort of roll her eyes like, "Oh boy, it just looks like there's a lot of history there." I don't know what it is. The dad certainly isn't coming across like someone that is attuned and a good listener. I think he might struggle with some assertiveness because, like I said earlier, there's a way that he could communicate about this and just be like, "Look, I'm just going to level with y'all. I don't think this is very smart, and let me tell you why. And let me throw out some options. But you're grown people, you're adults, you can make a choice, but here's what I would do." Or, "I'm feeling pretty scared about this. You can do what you want, but I'll tell you, this is going to be hard for me to sit by and watch. I might have some conversations with you, but you're free to do what you want. But I'm going to assert what I think is probably a wiser answer." There's a way to approach this like a father would, right? Instead of this insulting and jabs and laughing at you, the things that we've seen.
I agree. I think that...
20 days is just insanity. So, I don't know. I know you're happy, but don't fool yourself,
So it's getting worse. I thought he was turning a corner, but yeah, it's getting worse.
People take marriage lightly. We all know that nowadays. People get married, they get divorced, get married, get divorced.
We both are like, let me just...
Okay. It sounds like he might be in some sort of echo chamber. Let's just take a guess. I don't know, but it sounds like a typical thing that some people might say in particular groups. Anyway, so let's talk about the history of marriage, at least in mainstream-ish American culture. In the past, you had very little divorce because of laws that prevented it, because of religions that prevented it, and because of sexism and misogyny and controlling women and abusive women, where women might want to leave, but they're prevented physically. They might be murdered or thrown in an insane asylum, or even if they did manage to divorce, they wouldn't be hired even though they're qualified to work because of sexism in the workplace. So a lot of women, and it's still true today to a lesser extent, but still true to some extent, that women are much worse off statistically when they get divorced in terms of economics and stress and that sort of stuff, because of sexism in culture and sexism in the workplace, sexism in schools, sexism in a lot of arenas. So there's a problem, and it was a much bigger problem in the past. And so you did not have a lot of divorce, not because people were in wonderful marriages. Now, could there be a cultural difference in the past that did actually help marriages stay together? Yeah, and we see this in the United States, but we see it abroad as well, that in some cultures, marriage is not with your soulmate. It's someone that you work well with, someone that you grow old with, someone that you parent with, someone that you build a household together, and you don't necessarily have to get along. You have your own friends, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your parents that you hang out with, and your husband, wife, your partner has their people, and you work together. You're kind of like family members, but but in mainstream, the culture has shifted in mainstream American culture to be much more intense about how close you are, ideally with the person you marry. You not only do all those things, you build a house together, you have kids together, you work well together, you collaborate, you parent together, but you're also best friends. You share everything, most things together. You're, each other's main support person. You have the same sense of humor. You have similar hobbies. You hike together, you travel together, and I'm that way, and me and my wife are that way. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it is a shift. And so could there be a difference in the past? And I don't think he's commenting on that, though. So as we started to break down sexism and push back, and the wonderful activists over the decades and centuries have been pushing back, women started to become more liberated and able to assert themselves. Laws were passed. There was pushback against industries that were creating sexist practices that prevented women from working, schools, the whole thing. So then you give the option of like, okay, now if a woman wants to leave, if she's being abused or if she's just not happy in a marriage, she has a greater ability to actually extract herself because of laws and support and culture. But also once she leaves, she actually also can get a job and isn't economically dependent on a husband that she doesn't want to be with. So then you see a rise in divorce, not because of people having worse marriages necessarily, but because of freedom, okay? Because of justice, because of moral righteousness, okay? So could people be a little bit more flippant about it? Or another way of putting it is more deciding what sort of meaning they want to put on it, right? Because in the past, it was under God, you could literally be told you're going to go to hell if you get divorced, or you're going to go to hell if you don't get married and have kids. Or, I don't know. It's just a lot of pockets of dogma around, even in our society, and still to some extent exists, but less so now. Anyway, could that be? And could that result in there being more divorce? Maybe. The other thing that is a factor in some divorces is the fact that our society is more materialistic now. People are forced to work 60 hours a week-ish or whatever, a lot, work at home because of lack of unions, because of anti-labor practices, because governments don't support unionization and don't support labor movements. And so you have all these people that are overworked to parents, and they don't have any time to bond. They only have time to put their kids to bed and wake up the next day and go back to work, and they're stressed out. And divorces occur because of just drifting apart, that kind of thing. So could that be a trend? Yeah, that is a factor in a lot of marriages. being divorced. And I could go on and on and on. There's a lot of research that I could talk about. There's a lot of philosophy here. There's a lot of history here, a lot of different movements within society, of course, and there's different sub-pockets. But this notion that will often be bandied about in certain echo chambers or among older people that are out of touch, they'll say, young people today, they don't understand traditional values, this sort of thing. That is not shown in the data. That doesn't resonate with me. It's of a particular camp of philosophies that basically just always says young people today are stupid and irresponsible. So I just wanted to go on that rant. I don't know why. All right, well, that is it for that episode. Everyone, please take care of yourself and take care of others because we all deserve it. We really, really, really do.